for the money you're putting in a place that's not working, you could have taken that money in a place that is working and doubled, tripled your response.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Thanks for joining us on the Ready, Set, Grow podcast. Strategies to help advisors grow their practices. No one better to talk to than you when it comes to what we're talking about today, which is why you're the guest. I'm David Wilkinson, Director of Television. This is Robert Basic. What's your official title? Director of Media Buying?
Media Director, media buyer, media,
all the stuff,
all the things.
I call you the foundation to everything we do media-wise, because without you, I don't think we're successful. So let's start with your background first. You have a lot of gray, so you've clearly been doing this for a lot of years.
Yes.
How long?
30 years.
30 years.
Yes, I've been doing media buying and planning, yes.
All right, so and it's a little
bit.
Started
at a media agency, working on big regional, national brands. Did that for a good almost 20 years, but I've been here for 11 years and never looked back.
What was the change like to come try to place it for financial marketing, if at all?
It was different in the fact that it was all local specific to specific markets.
Okay.
I wasn't buying the full country. I'm buying network TV or network radio or, but I worked on Bell South for many years, which was all regional. So I was buying Atlanta, I was buying Nashville, I was buying all these markets. And so putting together a multi-market plan, it's in my DNA, I guess you'd say.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but coming here, it was exciting because I can see the results.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when you're buying national media or for a national brand, you're putting all this out there, and you can do these awareness studies and all these things, which are great to know that it's working. But you can't see, like, I'm going to put an ad on, and I'm going to get response, and I can see how much savings somebody has for their retirement, and actually see that person is going to be getting help with their retirement. I mean, it's just a direct impact, for lack of a better term, but direct impact on that person's life and on the client being able to help that person. So it's like you can see it all.
Well, it's critical, especially for our clients. They're spending money. They need to see response. They need to see what's going to be on the other end. So response, obviously, the name of the game. We can make everything and make it beautiful. We have a beautiful team, radio, television, all that make things, but we have to be in the right places. I'm curious, in your opinion, why is television effective?
Well, television is effective because you're reaching so many people. It's just the audience it's bigger than radio. It's bigger than podcasting. It's bigger than all these other places. It is the biggest audience you will reach. It's like standing at the top of a mountain with a big bullhorn and just talking to a whole city at once.
Yeah.
Think about it. But we have the research and tools to be able to say, okay, we've got all these people. Let's hone it in and make sure we're in the right place to reach the majority of the people that are watching this TV show or on this time, is that we can see that the majority of the people that we're trying to reach are at this time. That's where our research and tools come in. So we can go, okay, because to think about it, how many channels are on television?
Quite a bit.
A lot of networks. And now you have even more choices with streaming, right? But we want to hone in on where those people are watching and going to see our commercials. And with that is typically news.
Yeah.
That's where we typically tend to focus.
The myth that no one's watching news, I'm not seeing it.
No, because the response shows it.
The response shows
it. We see that we're getting response, and that's not only do the numbers show it with the measured research, but the real end result is to see how much response we're getting, and we're seeing lots of response coming in. And that could be weekend news, it could be evening news. It just depends on the market and the station. In some markets, it could be a CBS station. In some markets, it could be a Fox station. We don't know, but that's what we do. We look through all this. We go through all the stations, all the programming. We look to see, okay, where are our advisors going to do best by reaching the right people?
Sure. Well, I've been here 8 years, and I think I can speak to this because you don't know what you don't know until you learn. And there were times in the beginning of television where we had to learn as things grew.
Yeah.
And you can present us quite a bit of options. And we've become really great at figuring out exactly where we need to be. I'm not giving myself any credit. 8 years ago, I thought I absolutely sucked at it and helping make the best decision when it came to it, because I was always very conscious in the sense of oh, well, we can just be on TV for so much less than paying. Let's just throw a number out there. Being on this spot costs $3,000.
Yeah.
Oh, but I can be on this one for $500. Why wouldn't I just go there? And then you very quickly find out, well, you can be there for that, and you get absolutely no response, which means you're just lighting your money on fire
100%.
inside of a dumpster. So I think one of the most important factors for you is there are a lot of options to be on television, but your choices should be very few.
Yes, there are only going to be a handful of placements that are really going to generate the response we're looking for.
And that's what it's about.
And we got to find that. And yeah, I mean, 9 times out of 10, we do pretty good because we have all the experience. To your point, we have the data. We look at the data. We've been doing this for a long time, so we have the data. Going into market, okay, we know this program's going to work for our 2-minute commercial. We know these time slots are going to be probably best for a 30-minute show. We know that a morning show in a market and doing a live interview is going to in some markets, those may do better than a 2-minute.
Sure.
We've seen that happen where like, hey, we should probably try both because some markets a 2-minute's going to do better in a national morning show, a news show, or that. I mean, we have one example in one of our markets. One of our advisors in DC, he's on a live show, and he kills it there, crushes it more than he can do anywhere else. So he has set the bar for his response. But you look in another market and where we might be on a CBS Sunday Morning or a 6 p.m. news, and that has set the bar for that advisor in that market. And doing a live show, live interview, didn't really pull much. So we're always optimizing.
Well,
that's the other thing.
So if I'm an advisor watching this right now, I want to do TV, and I'm like, well, it sounds like I'm going to have to experiment with my money then to figure out. How do you figure out sooner rather than later which one of those is the spot you're supposed to be in?
Well, the good thing about television is pretty immediate response. We know within a couple weeks.
We expect, depending on your market, I'll say this. I expect your phone to ring the first time.
100%.
Depending on the size of the market. If you're in a very small market, it's probably not going to happen. But how am I going to find out before I spend $1,000 here, $1,000 here, $1,000 here when I'd rather just be like, yo, Robert, I just want to spend $1,000 right now to get that.
Again, the experience, we can go, okay, these are the placements that we would recommend based on the number of viewers, the cost for that viewer, because we're not going to have you overpay, because there may be slots that, this is
big anti-overpaying.
Yeah, we don't like overpaying.
Very much against that.
No, because we can look at it like, okay, what's the cost per viewer, and go, okay, this makes sense. We have an average of that. We know, but if it's twice that, then we're going to say, that slot's too expensive. Don't waste your money on it. We can find another slot that is going to be worth it. So we're looking at all that as well. But being on TV and getting out there, you're going to get pretty much immediate response out of the gates in the right spot.
I called you the foundation off the top of this. I think placement is more critical than anything else.
It's very important,
Now, don't get me wrong. You can have a terrible looking television show and get terrible looking results and all that. That's not going to happen with us. But if you're not in the right place, radio or television, I know we're focused on television right now, you're absolutely screwed when it comes to response.
Yeah, because you got to make sure you're talking to the right people. That's the biggest thing. You have to make sure that the person that's watching that television or listening to that radio station is the person you want to reach. Because, again, to your point, you can go on television and go, okay, well, this is a great deal. I don't want to spend a lot of money, so at least I'm on television. I can say I'm on television.
There's a benefit to that.
There's 100%. There's a branding benefit. There's a celebrity benefit to that. There's all this. But for the money you're putting in a place that's not working, you could have taken that money in a place that is working and doubled, tripled your response.
Sure.
And we're actually able to track that response.
We are.
We use a tracking system. So we're able to see when something plays, we watch, the tracking system and see how many calls come in. I know you're very passionate about that. You are obsessed.
If it doesn't work, then we don't have a brand new studio. We don't have a team. I'm not here.
Right.
You're still here because you're valuable, but if the phone doesn't ring with the creative, that's a big problem. So I don't know if you could ask this. I remember some introduction phone calls that we always had. I like to clarify this with people. You're not making any money off people spending money on television.
No.
Like that's not part of this equation. You're
Not at all.
You're
Yeah.
not leading someone into something that's giving you a commission.
No, I have no benefit to spend for them to spend more money in a spot. No, because we don't charge a 15% commission here at Impact. A lot of IMOs, a lot of agencies, 15%. That's a lot of money.
I mean, that's a bit.
We want you to put all of your marketing dollars into marketing and into media, if that's what you're going to do. And then if it's successful, we're in it with you, and you write the production through Impact. That's where we all benefit.
Mm-hmm.
We're in this together. And I'm not going to spend your money on something that I would never spend it on. If it's my business, I always look at it that way when I make an option. Present an option. So hey, these are the options available. This is what we would do, and we've talked about this a lot. It's like, what would we do if it was our business?
Well, that's the way we view it.
That's the way we have to view it.
We view it
because
that way.
I want to spend money to get response, and this is where I would go first. Again, some things work, some things don't, but 9 times out of 10, what we do works pretty well.
We have a lot of success.
A lot of success.
So then one of the most popular questions, all right, Robert, I can go on television, but what's my budget? What do I have to spend to be successful on television?
Well, the great thing is, one, it depends on the market size, because it's really based on viewers. But the great thing is TV is very flexible. We don't have to be on in radio. If you have a radio show, typically on every single weekend, it's an annual buy. And it's kind of locked in. TV, you can be on once a month. You can be on 5 times a month. You can be on multiple programs. You can be on one program a month. It really, we can fit it to your budget.
And I can still get response?
And you can still get response.
Still get response.
Yeah. Of course, the more times you're on, if you're not on, you don't get response. So the more times you're on, but you don't have to be on every single week. We've seen that.
Yeah.
Because when you've been on every single, in some situations, you may see the response taper off because,
Sure.
Especially in smaller markets. In big markets, you can be on every week and still get response.
Sure.
But in smaller markets, people see it over and over. That's where we would optimize it based on the results and go, okay, hey, you've been in this slot for a while. Let's pull back on this one, but let's add another one here and see how that does. And then maybe just over time, we're always changing the buys if where we see things not working.
You are changing the buys quite
all
a bit.
the time.
And I don't mean that in the sense of like you have to change it because it's not set up correctly. It's just people decide like, hey, I want to be on more, I want to be on less.
Yes, yeah.
I
It's
wanna
more
be on
about adding. Most of the changes are either adding
Which
or,
is fantastic.
or pulling back. To my point, if we're seeing the response dip, then we may need to shift. Because you've been on there for a long time.
And we communicate about that because I sent you something today. There's a segment, I've seen enough of it. It's like, kill that spot.
Right.
But I love that these other spots are working in that market. The advisor just had that budget to say, like, I want to go flood everywhere. Well, guess what? We're tracking this. Yeah. We're doing that part for you.
And now we're going to take that budget and make a recommendation on where to move it or save it if we don't need to spend it.
I do think it's interesting because I had a conversation with a gentleman recently about this. I was like, I can put you on TV tomorrow, and I promise you I'll get you phone calls.
Right.
And I can take you off for the next 6 months, and I'll put you right back on, and you're going to get response. Why do you think television can do that?
Well, I think it's because of it's just the volume of people seeing it. And I think that's the biggest thing is you're reaching so many people and there's so many options, as I mentioned earlier, of how you can watch television. So, you may be on every single week, but somebody may see you once in 3 months. They may see you once.
Doesn't matter how many years you've been on.
You could be on
there's every week for
there's
years.
always new viewers. There's always people moving in and out of watching certain shows. And that's why we like to also move around so we can catch new viewers as well.
What are some of the most unique questions or important questions you get asked on discovery calls with people when it comes to television? I know I'm usually on those and we have differing opinions on some things. For instance, I'm perfectly fine with somebody being on once every 2 months if that's what they want. But to your point, the more you're on, the more frequency you get. But what are some of the unique questions you feel like people that might be watching this right now could be thinking that you get asked?
Be like, well, I think some of those questions are, one of them would be, the big question is the budget question. How much do I have to spend? And then that's where the flexibility comes in, and we can adjust it. But it's like, well, how long before I see a response? is another question. You know, you get that. But it's really about, you know, well, how am I going to know if this is working? Or how am I going to track this, and how am I supposed to handle the calls? That's another one. How I handle the calls is a big one, because, you know, the good thing is we have a lead conversion coach here at Impact that can help with that.
Critical.
I mean, because you want to make sure, because TV response is so much different than any other marketing or media, because they're seeing it for the first time. A lot of people, they pick up the phone, they're ready to go, but they go cold like that.
Oh yeah, you got to be on it.
You know, you got to be on it. So you have to have your staff set up or a system set up, and Beth does a great job of helping.
She does
places with that. So
here's a fun one for you. I enjoy these things because we shoot them down very quickly, in the sense of shooting them down because it's not a good option. Sales rep from a television station gets in touch with the advisor.
Yes.
And no disrespect to them, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And they put together a package.
Yes.
That's a bunch of garbage.
See that all the time.
Elaborate on that for me.
Yeah, so, I mean, radio, TV, whatever, you know, advisor comes into Impact, they've been on TV or radio. Oh, TV sucked, I don't know if I really want to do TV.
Because they did it there?
Because they did it there.
Yeah, they do that.
You know, the salesperson at the station is going to try to sell them a bunch of 30-second commercials and a bunch of sponsorships and all these things.
Free one for you, 30-second commercials, it doesn't get immediate response. If you want to get branding, have at it.
Yeah,
we make great commercials, but it's not where we like to spend your money.
No.
All right, keep going. 30-second commercials.
Yeah, 30-second commercials, 60-second commercials, the 15-second mentions, billboards, and
the
pay.
Billboards,
Yeah,
the billboards.
don't ever pay for those. Those should be.
Do not spend your money.
Those should be added value.
Facebook,
Facebook, all these things,
all the things that don't lead to response.
Take that money, put it into 2-minute spots, 30-minute shows, or live interviews. That's where you're going to get your
response.
It
sounds beautiful to have
does sound
all
good.
that exposure. But
Yeah.
I'll say, being 8 years in this industry, I'm not meeting advisors that want exposure more than they want response.
Right.
Response always
you're
trumps.
going to get exposure no matter what you do on television.
No matter what you do.
But our goal is to get you leads, and that's what we want to do, and that's why the research that we do and focusing on the programs that work, all these things, and the CTAs that you use, and all the things that you guys do, on the amazing stuff you guys do in the
really
creative with that's what is going to drive the response.
To continue on with this, I think one of the most important success stories we've had, and I don't believe we're allowed to say anybody's name, so we're not going to do that. We're not going to say markets. You'll know who I'm talking about. They came to us. They were doing a 30-second commercial.
Yes.
They told us they would get one response per quarter.
Yes.
We talked to the sales rep, and the sales rep was just like, oh, response is blowing up. And it was like, well, there is something completely different between y'all's stories. But we got involved. They were doing TV before they came to Impact.
Yep.
In these 30-second commercials, and you were able to speak with that sales rep, and then you were able to repurpose the money, reallocate, whatever the word is, and it turned into an interview-style segment.
Yes.
And the rest is history now for what they've been doing with that.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's the other part of it, is looking at things, and I was talking to Rob Scott about this on the radio side, almost taking a second, advisors look at their clients' portfolios and make adjustments and this and that. That's kind of what I do with media buys. If somebody comes on board with their current buy, I go, yeah, this is. I take that and say, let's go back to the station and say, hey, this is what we want to do. 2-minute commercials. So we had them do 2-minute commercials, and TV has been a major success.
Well, they
for
did
them.
the locals first, yeah.
Yeah,
They did the lives,
the lives, and then they did the lives. Then we moved into 2-minute commercials. That's another thing.
And 30s.
Now they're doing 30s.
They do it all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a progression. Whatever works best and what for your budget. But there's lots of opportunity here at Impact to do television.
Yeah, Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore.
No.
30-second commercials to 2s, 30s, locals,
and
they own their market.
We created the 2 minutes in this industry.
You did. That was before I got here.
Yeah,
Bravo to you.
Yeah, we were in a market. We started just doing the 30-second commercials and live interviews, and then we ran into a market where they didn't have a live interview. They didn't have any morning shows. We're like, okay, we're just going to do 30-second commercials, and we're not tracking at the time. Like, well, what if we create a 2-minute interview like a morning show and put it in a national morning show?
Yeah.
So and that has taken off, and it's been the most successful thing.
I've been
we've
riding
had.
your coattails since I got here. Without you, I'd be completely hosed. Television would be completely hosed. I'm telling you, we have a great team. It's unbelievable what we do. But
That's
if we didn't have
amazing
the
team.
foundation
Yeah.
with you, so I thank you for keeping me employed here, because without you, as that foundation. But
We worked well together.
so shout out to all the years of experience you have in that gray beard. Appreciate
you.
your time today. So this is good
Thank you.
stuff. So
This was fun.
And for all of y'all, make sure you click subscribe, do all the things to our YouTube channel. You can also click the link below. You can reach out to Impact directly, and then get in touch with this guy, because we promise we're passionate about what we do. This
Yes.
guy is critical to what we do. You want response, you want to grow your practice. Robert Basic,
Let's do it.
you're a bad man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
So good.
Was that good?